This is a Squiz podcast. We're your shortcut to being informed.
Squiz Kids! It's your daily news fix. Fun, free, fresh.
Hello and welcome to Squiz Kids, your fresh take on what's happening in the world around you. I'm Bryce Corbett. It's Monday, July 19. In Squiz Kids today, floods wreak havoc in Europe. A robot helps a queen. Wallabies beat the French, and Joshi the gentle gorilla. That's what's making news, kids style.
The lowdown.
A big clean-up was underway in parts of Europe over the weekend as residents of Germany, Belgium and Austria took stock of some of the worst flooding to hit the region in decades. Houses were washed away and at least 150 people are believed to have died when heavy rains caused flash flooding and rivers to break their banks. Break their banks is an expression used when there's so much water in a river that it flows over the banks of the river. In some villages, the rain was so heavy and the rivers rose so fast that the water reached up to the second floor of some homes. Other homes were washed away completely, while landslides buried entire communities in mud. While residents of the many towns affected have begun the cleanup, the army has been sent in to search for survivors, with residents of many villages still missing. The flooding happened when more than a month's worth of rain fell in a 24-hour period, with the leader of one of the worst affected regions in Germany calling it a catastrophe of historic proportions and calling for urgent action to stop climate change. I've put a link in today's episode notes to drone footage of the damage. It's really quite remarkable.
Spin the globe.
Each day we give the world globe a spin and find a news story from wherever it stops. And today we've landed in Amsterdam, the capital of the Netherlands, world famous for its canals and bridges, where the Queen of the Netherlands got help from a robot to open the world's first 3D printed bridge over one of the old canals. The 12-metre-long, 4,500-kilogram steel bridge was built by 4 robots and looks like something out of Star Wars. It's loaded with electrical sensors that will record information on how the 3D printed steel responds to weather, strain and use by pedestrians and cyclists. And scientists are hoping they can use that information to safely design and build bigger 3D steel structures. And yes, of course, we've put a link in your episode notes so you can check it out for yourselves. You're welcome.
Sport time.
Félicitations is how the French say congratulations, which is what France's national rugby team, Les Bleus, were saying to the Wallabies on Saturday night when the boys in green and gold held on in a thrilling match at Brisbane's Suncorp Stadium to win the 3-match Renaissance Test Series. The magic boot of Brumbies fly half Noah Loleseo helped the Wallabies secure a narrow 33-30 victory over the visiting French team, in a win that was made all the more sweet by the fact the Wallabies were playing most of the match one man down after star centre Marika Koroibete was sent off for a high tackle early in the game. Now, speaking of the French, all eyes were on Paris overnight when the Tour de France came to its usual picturesque end with the traditional processional ride into the French capital. The winner, Tadej Pogačar from Slovenia, claimed his second win. The Tour de France is the most famous bike race in the world. It happens every year and sees hundreds of cyclists from all over the world ride 3,500 kilometres around France over a period of some 23 days. Wow, I'm exhausted just thinking about it.
Animal Kingdom.
If you've ever moved to a new town or changed schools and had to start all over again, then you'll know exactly what Joshi the gentle gorilla is going through right now. Born and raised in a zoo in England, Joshi has recently been relocated to a new home in a country in Africa called Congo-Brazzaville. It's a country that's famous for its lush jungles and for the gorillas that live there in the wild. Because Joshi is used to living in a zoo, he's been teamed up with a couple of other young gorillas in his new home who are going to teach him how to find food in the wild. A bit like when you're the new kid at school and the principal pairs you with kids who have been there a while to help you find your feet in the playground. Joshi's zookeepers in England were super sad to see him go because he's a really gentle, well-mannered boy. But they were happy at the same time because they knew he was going to live an exciting life in the jungle and do what gorillas were born to do. It's also hoped Joshi might meet a lovely girl gorilla and start a little gorilla family of his own. Go Joshi! And of course I've stuck a link to a beautiful video of Joshi being released into his new home in today's episode notes.
Time for the quiz.
This is the part of the podcast where you get to test how well you've been listening. Question number 1. Which city in the Netherlands has just unveiled a bridge made with a 3D printer? That's right, it's Amsterdam. Question number 2. Who won the rugby test in Brisbane on the weekend? The Wallabies or Les Bleus? That's right, it was the Wallabies. Question number 3. Where did Joshi the gentle gorilla live before he was sent on an adventure to live in the jungles of Africa? That's right, he lived in a zoo in England.
Shout-outs.
It's July 19. Tonight marks the beginning of the Muslim holiday Eid al-Adha, or the Festival of Sacrifice as it's otherwise known. Tonight in households all over the country and all over the world, people of the Muslim faith will gather, where COVID restrictions allow them to, share a special meal and pray. It's one of 2 major Muslim holidays celebrated each year. It's also a very special day for these Squiz Kids celebrating a birthday today. Nicholas from Cherrybrook, Patrick from Killarney Vale, Laith from Chiswick, Paxton from Woy Woy, Hugo from Baldivis, Carly from Bomaderry, Pippa from Clothiers Creek, Lewis from Mount Riverview, Madeline and Noah from Queanbeyan South, Charlotte from Revesby, and Hayley from Mansfield. And some happy belated birthday shout-outs to Will, Alex and Bella from Mansfield, Ben from Caringbah South, Lacey from Tumut, Mason from Woodhill, and Eve from Granton. And today's classroom shout-outs go to 4P at Matthew Flinders Anglican College at Budrum, where their teacher Miss Petty is celebrating her birthday today. To Year 6 at Deception Bay Public School, and a belated happy birthday to their teacher Mrs Webber. To Year 4 and Room 11 at Mullaloo Beach Primary School. To Year 5 and Mrs Tregiddo at St Paul's Primary in Gateshead. To Class 5-6 CS at Como West Public School, and finally to Mr Melisari in Class 2-3 Teal at Dalmeny Public School. Don't forget, if you've got a birthday coming up and you want a shout-out, or if you're after a classroom shout-out, drop us a line at squizkids@thesquiz.com.au. Well, that's all we have time for today. A big thanks to Amanda for filling in for me last week. I'm sure you'll all agree she did a most excellent job. Thanks for listening to Squiz Kids. We'll be back again tomorrow. In the meantime, get out there and have a most excellent day. Over and out. Squiz Kids is proudly supported by the Judith Neilson Institute for Journalism and Ideas.
Squiz Kids!
It's your daily news fix. Fun, free, fresh.